There we go. Okay, so I'm going to call the January 9th Winter meeting to order. First thing I have on here, welcoming participants, new participants, but we're all the same this cycle around, so that's good. So we need to elect a chair.
I'll make a motion for Chester to maintain the gavel.
A second.
Motion and a second. Any other takers? All right. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right. We need to elect the vice chair.
I would make a motion to nominate Ellen Snyder again.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Treasurer.
Well, I would love to make the motion to nominate Tim, but I won't. So instead, I'm going to nominate Kathleen Pissar.
I volunteer.
Yeah,
I figured.
somehow it's a punishment for
You
Tim,
wouldn't put yourself out there.
but it's an honor for Kathleen.
All right.
Everything's an honor.
Yes.
Over Makefield and Newtown and Wrightstown, everything.
I'm sorry, who seconded it?
I'll second.
Nobody seconded, I guess.
All right. So I'm not going to let you off because I'm asking somebody else if they want to do it. So, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen.
I hope Tim's a good teacher. Well, I'll be able to evaluate that very
You
quickly.
know, I don't know.
Just he's got to have to sign all the checks tonight because we have to get
You
you.
go to the bank and
Yeah, we got
change your
to
names and everything, yeah.
talk about it after the meeting.
Yeah.
We'll work through that. All right. Just want a motion to authorize the treasurer to pay any bills between meetings when we don't have meetings with the authorization of the chair, vice chair.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Our checking account is with First National Bank. Just need to confirm that. So do we have
So moved.
a second?
I'll second.
Kathleen, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We don't have a secretary, but I would like to propose that we change the secretary's pay rate from $18 an hour to $24 an hour. $18 an hour is what we started to pay in 2018, and we never increased it. It's tough to find anybody to do stuff for $18 an hour.
So
So
just so I'm clear, you want to raise the pay for nobody?
correct.
Okay.
But if we find somebody,
I understand.
then we have them. I mean, it's easier to go and say, hey, look, I've got this job.
I've always credited you for really being on your game.
Or who knows, maybe I'll charge back.
There you go.
Until we find somebody, I'm happy to raise it to 30. You know.
Is that a motion? We'll leave it at 24. So do we have a Tom? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We're just confirming the location of our meetings, which has already been advertised. I'm not going to take a motion on that. Everybody has a copy of the budget. Everybody comfortable with that? So generally, we have our operating budget is about $12,000. We have a $10,000 line item that we have in there for the wireless communications ordinance. And then I added two items for the sake of discussion. One, which would be a 50% match for that proposal we have from the Bucks County Planning Commission to do that study. The proposal was $32,000, and the match would be 50% if we move ahead with that. So I just wanted to make sure that you had that in there. And then I've also added codification. I estimated about $10,000 to recodify all the ordinances if we make a major change to the zoning ordinance, so that our share would be 5,000. Now, again, it's just for budgetary purposes. We're not, we haven't authorized to move forward with the project, but just wanted to let folks know that that would mean that our total assessment would be $43,000. And then the breakdown would be in the fourth column from the end, that says the current assessment for 25. So that would be the breakdown.
Make a motion to accept.
Tom, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Well, we're on the,
We're budgeting, but we're not approving that expenditures. Yes. I just want to have it in there. And if we don't, if we,
I agree. Gotcha.
so, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. That's good. Confirm that Bucks County Courier Times will be our paper of record. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And Jane, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Ready, I'm just confirming that Wrightstown appointed Clemens, Richter, and Reese as the township solicitor, so that means that they are the jointure solicitor by default. So no motion needed. That's fine. Confirm the Bucks County Planning Commission as our planning consultant. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second. No, no.
I think Jane had it.
Jane
honestly,
had it?
But the first,
All right, Jane, who was second?
then you gotta give that to her.
All
Jane second.
right, all in favor?
Sorry.
Aye.
I'll give you the next one.
And I make a motion that we appoint David Del Bianco, who's our Wrightstown Township auditor, to audit the books for the jointure. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. So then, on our normal meeting, we have the approval of the minutes. Just as the copy of the minutes that got circulated, for some reason, the finance report from last month kind of got scrunched up. I've already corrected it on the electronic copy, but you're gonna have to look at the scrunched up copy. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Tom?
Second.
Hey, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Treasurer's report, we're gonna have to wait. They'll get here. Text him, tell him he's off the hook. He's got a sign change.
He's standing right outside.
All right, let's move to solicitor's report.
Yes, as you see, there's a list of ordinances that are pending concerning the wireless communications ordinance. We're at the point where we need to determine what districts the wireless facilities will be permitted for cell towers and for non-cell tower based. They have placeholders in there now for Upper Makefield, the Newtown townships. And we also need to determine the same for non-tower based facilities for Upper Makefield and Newtown Township. So the ordinance right now for Wrightstown and Newtown, I'm sorry, for Wrightstown list specific tax map parcels where these facilities are permitted. And they've just left blanks for Newtown and Upper Makefield. So once we have those, there is a draft ordinance that's been circulated. We should be in a position to send those to the planning commissions to recommend for adopted. The electric vehicle charging ordinance, I think, is ready for advertising with some revisions that were suggested by Wrightstown. Is that correct, Jeff?
Newtown.
Newtown had recommended advertising, and I think we're waiting for Upper Makefield to consent to the last draft. So Newtown's clear.
From the planning commission, going to our planning commission or us?
Now it's you guys.
Okay.
The planning commission look at Wrightstown's
I gave,
or
I always take notes on this and I give it to Denise. And I think, she knows me, I think these might be on the agenda for, next Wednesday night.
we will address it. The planning commission in Upper Mayfield hasn't met for several months because two of the members are sick, so it's difficult to get a quorum
Gotcha.
at the moment for us.
Not a problem.
Yeah, that's what possible.
Now, I've looked at the billboard ordinance, and reviewed. It's been circulated most recently on June 4th. I guess Wrightstown submitted some comments in September. Have those been addressed?
I think Newtown still has the billboard ordinance in front of them for review.
We have determined placement,
Okay.
so we're not moving it. We have it. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've been back and forth this about, right now it's permitted down in front of the 7-Eleven, and it has been there for years where it is permitted. And just with all the recent development coming in, that's why we wanted to look at it again, but we spoke with our planner, Michelle, and she said that it is not permitted within 500 feet of a residential dwelling, which it is. So she seems to think we should just leave it where it is.
So that's the convenience commercial district.
She said, yeah.
So you guys can just send back a note to Vicky to let them know that you guys are okay with that. So then all we need is Upper Makefield to sign off on.
Right, I mean, we have two ordinances on the agenda for
Okay.
Wednesday, so I think that's the.
So we are okay with it in the convenience commercial district. What we're calling the parking for apartment use was a private request, has been reviewed and found wanting. And right now it's in the developer's court to submit an updated ordinance that might be more acceptable. And then concerning the zoning hearing board, our JMZO required advertising different from what the MPC requires. It only require, our ordinance now only requires one advertisement 10 days in advance of the hearing. The municipality's planning code requires two advertisings at least 7 days apart. So this ordinance amendment corrects that and requires that the advertising be once each week for 2 successive weeks, and of course, state the time and date. First publication can't be more than 30 days in advance of the hearing, the second less than 7. So this would just be revising the JMZO to conform with what the agency requires. Now, this, I guess, is going out to the planning commissions for review. We're waiting for comment before we can advertise it.
Just to interject, I think the Bucks County Planning Commission received a copy for review. It was submitted to our portal. So that was discussed then at every township, I guess, right?
Well, it hasn't, I don't know that it's been reviewed by every township.
So I will check that because I just looked today because I thought I saw something that had been submitted. And it looks like something was submitted on December 31st.
December,
31st.
close to the end of the year.
To last week, was it? Was that last week? Yeah, it was last week. Yeah, so we haven't reviewed it yet, but I can follow up if you want me to follow up with Vicky or.
Well, this says amendments submitted to planning commissions for review.
Oh,
so-
okay, then maybe that, but you know what, it was submitted through our portal, which sort of went in the process that we would issue an official review, it would go to our board, but I'll follow up on that just to make sure that.
And we'll need input from the individual planning commissions as well.
Yeah.
Right, that's it on solicitor's report.
Planner,
Okay, so I guess just really it's a follow-up on our discussion last month. November, I guess we talked about, the committee asked our agency to put together a proposal to update the ordinance. Specific things were discussed, but then my recollection had been, to really go through and make the proposal for the whole ordinance. So that's what we sent last month that we started to discuss. One of the questions that came up last month was, could codification, the cost for codification be included in the grant application? Because if you guys move forward with the zoning ordinance, there's gonna be a grant application put forth for the map, through the map program for the state. So I believe, Chester, you had sent out the email to everybody. I contacted Isabella Bume, who's our contact person now with DCED, and she did indicate that we can put the codification cost, include that in the grant application, which I was very surprised at, I'll be honest. I didn't think that was gonna be possible, but I don't know, do we know what that would be though ahead of time? Because isn't that based on like the size of the document, the number?
It would be. I mean, that's why I threw out a number like, I threw out 10,000 is a big number. I know when we're just recodifying, or we're just adding 6 ordinances that were adopted this past year to the zoning ordinance, and that's like $2,300 to bring, to just, bring that in. But if we do something that, if we're gonna add pictures and that kind of stuff, I mean, anytime we're gonna add, more pages to the ordinance means that there's more work that's gonna have to be generated, plus some printing costs and those kinds of things. So it's totally a guess. I mean, and I guess if they awarded us the $10,000, that line item, and it really only cost us $5,000, then we probably collect half of the money and return the other half. So.
Right. So they're only gonna, if the grant is awarded for half, because it doesn't necessarily mean it would be for half, but I think that's the maximum. They would pay for half of the cost for that item. Now, if let's say the codification cost was 5,000 and we put in 10,000, then there'd be that 5,000 left over that I believe is just okay. I think you can still close out the grant, but I'm gonna verify that. If we put in 5,000 and it costs 10,000, then if the grant was 50%, they're only gonna cover 2,500, and then the jointure would be for the remaining difference, up to 10,000. Did I say 10,000? So the jointure could possibly, if the amount was higher than the cost, the jointure is probably gonna have to pay that difference. But I think with, it sounds like that's a reasonable cost based on what.
And it's reimbursement, right? So we have to outlay the money anyway, and then they're gonna pay us hopefully 50% of what we laid out for the zoning ordinance rework and for codification.
Right, it is. Now, the MAP program does, there are provisions where communities, if a grant is awarded, communities can get money up front. It's like a portion. I don't believe we did that last time though, right?
No.
I think we submitted 2 reimbursements, but that was like the one reimbursement the jointure had already paid. So then you got half of that back, and then that carried through with the grant, the closeout reimbursement. We didn't get the money ahead of time last time, but I believe you can. Now for the codification, I don't know. So I don't know if there are any other questions about our proposal, or if you wanted to like reconsider what you are interested in doing with the zoning ordinance. I know there had been discussion last month. Some members thought it was just for really looking at certain sections versus the whole document. I don't know if we ever resolved that. I know as the conversation went forward in November, I thought we did end up like just do a proposal for the whole document.
So I don't, yeah, so the members did raise concern about doing the whole document and just doing the sign portion. I don't know if folks have had over the holidays, have had a chance to think about it and see whether
We've thought about it. We don't want to do it.
you want to do everything, just do the sign
We don't.
portion.
I think it was signs and definitions were the two things I remember that were specifically mentioned.
That kind of direction everybody would like to go. Again, this is a consensus because we'd have to individually at our townships enact a resolution approving the project. So it's going to formally go back to each of the boards for approval. That's if we go in that direction.
All right, is Newtown does not want to do the whole project, but does want to do signs and definition?
We want to do if we have a breakdown of the smaller portion that we talked about initially, we can look at that. The
Yeah.
whole project, the $30,000 project, I think was the breakdown. Yes, that is the part we.
Well, I mean, if the committee wants, we can go back and sort of revise it to just address those two areas. Now, there's always, when you make a change in one area, consequently, something's gonna change in another area. So I think, I'll talk to, people back at the planning commission. I mean, our goal would be to make things consistent, but it wouldn't be to go through the whole document and update that. So we can try to put together a proposal, scaling it down.
Most
to
reasonable
Mhm.
thing without going overboard.
Will that make it more confusing when it's all done? You have one that's recently corrected or revised and you have 90% not.
But we do that all the time. We do that.
I
all
know
the
that,
time.
but I know, but it adds, when you pick up something, it adds to the confusion on documents. It's nice to have one document that you can look through, particularly for the planning commission. That we know that it's a correct document that we can base our, instead of having to.
Which is what right now, general code is like I said, they're recodifying those 6 ordinances that we passed last year.
Yeah.
They're
That's
interlacing them.
But
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Well, but they do that every year. So
Okay.
if we were to, let's say, just do signs and
Okay.
definitions, they're gonna go through that same process. So it may be instead of like 10 pages, it might be 20 or 30 pages that they replace in the zoning ordinance, but they go through that same process every year.
And will it make it, because if you go to the E360, I think it is, that's tough.
Well, that's
a tough document. To try to find something explicit in it, it's tough. General, yes. It's just a tough document.
I'm sorry.
The E360,
Oh, okay.
it's just tough. It's just tough to work with. I don't know how you fix it, but it's just tough to work.
Well,
It's just-
yeah, I mean, it's a web-based program. I mean,
Yeah, I know. That's why I used to like when they had that big green book.
well, you still have it.
I don't know.
Well, so that's.
I've got one also.
Actually, if you go into the E360 section,
Okay.
and then there's a section that says public documents. Right, you go to the public documents section, there's I put out there a download that you can download all the,
The old one, okay.
yeah, basically.
That's why it makes it so confusing because you gotta go from here to there to there. And you hope that you got to the right place.
Do you
before
have
make
do
a
we have that
decision.
problem? Do we have that problem? No, I don't know. Never heard of it. I go to planning committee.
But when you really delve into issues and trying to get the historical background into this, I mean, you lose. Ellen, is Newtown's issue strictly dollars?
There's,
So-
there's
so can
things that we, for that $5,000 that it would cost us, we're doing some environmental work we'd rather spend that
So-
money on. And this is a consensus of the supervisors,
So-
so
so-
not me.
So,
All of us.
so the question is can we see if we get awarded the grant? Pay for it? So can we look to proceed with the project and see if we can get the grant for it? Or do I misunderstand the grant?
Do you have to apply for the grant? I mean, do you have to, okay.
Yeah, the grant is a competitive grant, so you're competing with projects from across the state.
I understand that, but can we apply for it before we start the project?
You would apply before you start the project. I think that would be my recommendation for
Right.
sure.
So could we
But-
table this depending upon whether we get the grant?
But what I recollect was when we put forth the grant application for the comp plan, we had to have resolutions. We had to include resolutions showing that the committee, that the municipalities were committed to doing the project, were committed and agreed to have us prepare the grant and forward it.
And the resolution can't say, we'll do it if you give us the money.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure about that.
Very chicken and egg situation.
Well, it's
I mean, I guess could you do a resolution and then change your mind if you don't get the
Well-
grant? Maybe.
we can, even though they award the grant, yeah, we can change our mind. We can change our mind. We could actually not accept the grant if that.
Why can't we ask for clarification? So to the grant issuer, say, here's where we are, what do you recommend? We don't move forward, we don't have the money.
I'm sorry, Tom. So reach out to,
Reach out to them and say, we want to go forward, but if we don't get the grant, we may not do it, just because of the cost. It's a legitimate question.
And you might ask whether we can adopt a conditional resolution that states that we're going to move forward with the preparation of the zoning ordinance conditioned upon us getting approval for a 50% reimbursement. You might ask them that. I have no idea, but that's something.
right, okay, can we adopt a conditional resolution? I get your words.
Yeah, a resolution authorizing the contract with Bucks County Planning Commission for an amount not to exceed $32,000 conditioned upon getting a municipal PA grant for 50% of the cost.
So that would put us in the area of
16,000 divided according to the ratio.
What was the original amount we had talked about for the signs? And that
We didn't, I don't think there was,
It's not working.
yeah, I
Okay.
just, we prepared the.
We did have some breakdown sitting here, right, Chester?
Well, I mean, I have,
I mean, that's why I could refer it to the other supervisors.
What were you thinking, Newtown?
Well, I thought, we had a piece of paper
Yeah,
that Chester provided with numbers on it.
Yeah.
That it would cost approximately this for each township. Ours was about 5,000. And that's what I'm doing.
but it wasn't broken down by signs was this and
No, I know.
conditions for
No,
that, so.
I'm just,
Okay.
that was the total for what we were speaking
So
about.
there's like 10 tasks on this.
I just want to make sure that if we went through that exercise, or Lisa asked that question, if that was still.
Any work that we saw that needed to be done. But if we wanted to do what we discussed first, which was, a little bit of clarification, that we were good with that, but not the whole project.
Motion here, right?
Well, I was gonna say, we want to ask Lisa to come back with a proposal for the scale dam project, so we can compare both projects.
This is just signs and definitions.
Signs and definitions, yes.
So two asks, conditional resolution and signs and definitions.
But if you're going to apply for the grant, it has to be in by March 1st, right, Lisa?
Yeah, it's a year-round grant, but they only award 2 times a year. So it's spring, fall. To be considered for the spring, they require the application to be in by March 1st. To be considered in the fall, the deadline is September 1st.
Well, I think logistically, we're gonna have problems trying to get every board to pass a resolution
My God.
to be able to
Yeah.
meet that March deadline. I mean, I think that's, because I know in Wrightstown with that, I mean, we're gonna be on a short schedule this month because of conflicting holidays and next month too, with
Oh,
conflicting
yes.
holidays with our Mondays, so. Well, we meet on Mondays, so.
Oh,
So we.
Yeah.
So we
Well,
really have conflicting
Well,
holidays.
we have other meetings, we're shifting to other days, so, because of the holidays.
Well, as long as we can still move forward with giving you another proposal, as long as if you're okay with waiting till September. I mean, we can have the grant application all prepared and ready to go. I mean, we can submit it before, we would submit it before September, but what I'm saying is if you're not in a rush to have it in by March 1st.
How do they fund this?
I
Do-
honestly don't
Do they
know.
fund it once a year or do they fund it biannually?
Oh, it's funded, I believe, so I believe from what I recall with the comp plan, I believe there's a pot of money funded for the year. And so they pick projects 2 times a year. You can submit any time, but to be considered, you have to get it in their deadline. I don't think they used to be so strict with those deadlines, like I think it used to change a little bit. But my understanding from talking to Isabella is now they have like, this is the deadline it needs to be if you want to be considered, fall or spring. Interesting though, when I spoke with her, and I believe it was in November, after our November meeting, she indicated that this last period of funding, the amount went up a lot. That's what she said. There's a lot more to give out. I don't know what a lot is. I didn't ask for specific numbers, but she sounded positive that, there's going to be a lot of projects hopefully will get funded. I guess it all depends too, you're competing against other areas. It depends on their projects and the need but my understanding is the state has people that deal with different sections of the state. So she's our person and she would like sort of fight, she wants her territory to get grants. So we work close with her. She's sort of gonna try to make sure it goes through. No guarantees.
So they evenly divide it then between the two. Say if they have $100,000, 50 would go to the first group.
I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know how they do that. I can
I'm
ask
just
her.
curious.
I'm sure they got more than that.
Was
Yeah, I'm
two
sure they
thousand
have
and
more
six a
than that.
rewrite?
They could run out of, we're not funded.
You mean the current?
You
zoning?
have, the current zoning ordinance says as of 2006, but I don't know whether it was a rewrite or whether it was just a compilation of.
I can't, I
Okay.
don't know, Terry. I can look into that, but
I'm just curious and nobody else here may be curious at all, so,
You mean when the last time a full rewrite was done?
yeah, that's my question.
That 2006 is not a rewrite. It was a migration of the old ordinance that we had in place. So basically, we haven't, this ordinance has not changed in the last 20 years, with the exception of the amendments that we've made. So the changes have been amendments. And then we had a codifier for the zoning ordinance. And then he died and all the records went with him basically. So that all of a sudden, the Wrightstown ordinance or the Georgia ordinances moved from this other codifier to general code. And then, so it was just a PDF document that they had up there for, reference purposes, and then they tried to court us to come on over, so then we contracted with General Code to do the, bring everything over. So then they moved all those PDF documents to, the ordinance we have in place right now,
Which is 2006.
which is 2006.
So when I get this blue book, then I have to make sure there's not amendments to it that I don't
Well,
see. in the blue
and
book.
that happens.
That's where the confusion. I'm
Well,
telling you.
but what happens is when,
It's over 20 years, Chester, is the difference. If they do it now,
well, if you have,
then it'd be next year's just really small. Yeah.
well, but you're gonna get what you're gonna have. If you have the 2006 book,
Mhm.
there's like 3 sections that you can print out, and then you just swap out the
Oh,
pages,
okay. All right.
you know?
I just didn't know the mechanics to this.
Well, the online version, like when I pull up the Newtown area joint zoning ordinance, that ordinance is up to date, isn't it? There, unless it's like the amendments that haven't been incorporated.
The last 6 ordinances are not in the body of the zoning ordinance.
Right,
There's a button that says new laws.
right,
If you
right,
click there, it's got the actual ordinances that we adopted.
right. So then with this next codification,
They're all gonna
they're
get moved
gonna,
in.
so it will be up to
It
date,
will be up to
though,
date,
right?
yep.
So then can't you download?
Oh, yeah, that would make it easy.
Yeah.
But it's
so-
only for the small section.
But we're gonna get a little,
Yeah, I got it.
what should I call it? That's, again, you can, if you have a hard copy,
Special.
But on E360, that's then searchable too,
it is
right?
searchable, yeah.
Yeah, so right, yeah, right now. so-
And you actually have the ability to print out the whole zoning ordinance if you really want to, so. Not, talk to staff, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, that's what I need to do. I don't want to waste your time. I'm trying to make sure I'm looking at the real stuff when I'm not looking at something that's a couple of years old that's been changed. Because it may be a nuance change.
So Lisa, you okay?
Yeah, so you, I would, to go back, sort of a scaled down proposal. We're looking at just really updating the definitions and the signs. And I think one of the things that was specifically discussed were illustrations, diagrams, something to sort of provide more
Correct.
explanation.
Yep.
And then, I should follow up then with the questions about, the conditional resolution? You can follow up with the state on that?
Can't hurt.
All right, sounds good. All right, so congratulations, you were reelected. No. No, you're up.
He almost had a heart attack.
However, you have to sign the checks for this cycle until we get. So we'll go to the treasurer's report because you have.
Okay, my apologies for running late. So I can remember what I'm saying. Kathleen, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's not as bad as it
I
looks.
think,
You get the shine.
yeah, I hope you're complaining just too much with this.
Yeah, not just,
It'll work out.
there's no
okay.
video games living on here or anything, sorry.
Oh, no video games?
That way you
Oh,
can do whatever you want.
no QVC on there either?
No, you do
Oh,
what,
no.
it's yours, man, you do what you want. I didn't want to
That's
go.
like too much.
There's no antivirus software here, so I didn't want to like do anything online.
You don't do anything online on that one, that's good.
You can, but I'm like literally, I don't have antivirus, I'm trying to keep the costs down.
I say keep everything simple.
That's, yeah. Sorry, let me-
All right, we'll go.
All right. So we got a starting balance 2205.86, wrote out checks, final balance is 18,530. There is a discrepancy with the bank, but the good news is there's more in the bank. I think what happened is Cohen Law didn't cash a $4,000 check because that's how we'll go over it later, Kathleen. But other than that, everything's good and appropriate.
Bunnington Ranch, we've got general codes in there, so that's the coming up Cohen Law Group.
Yep. Yeah.
Are they working for us? Are they doing things actually? Like I see it all the time, but are they succeeding in whatever we're paying them to do?
We, to be perfectly honest, the bill from 2023, November, December of 2023 somehow got lost. So it never got paid until maybe October, November of this year. And it was like, I think they're probably a little miffed that there was some outstanding money. And then the current bill is the current charges, because I think Vicky was on the phone with them talking and working some issues with them.
So we do expect them to actually do some
Do
work
some
for
work,
us.
Well, they have provided a review,
Yes.
okay, and they came back,
Yes,
and so it's back in our court to make those last few changes. They did some reorganization of the ordinance based on the input from the joint. So,
which is what we talked about initially.
Yeah. so.
So the $4,000 they haven't cashed out?
Well, that's what's so ironic. First of all, the guy gave me a really hard time when they did the original ordinance of why they had been paid, although I don't think we even had gotten the bill yet. But anyway, I got it right out. Then they don't bill us for like a year, basically. Then we pay them. Then I don't think, I'll double check, but that's what I don't think they cash a check. That's strange.
I'm not sure I understand what this relationship is at this time, like they're a responsible group. I mean, I know we do it we use them ourselves in Newtown, so, but it's hard to see a lot of progress, I guess.
Well, yeah,
It's, so we're on our last round of this, right? So Newtown has to find out the places that aren't designated. And so does everybody, right?
Yeah, we do.
And then what happens after that?
then it's just a matter of finalizing those, and then we can advertise it. So it would go through the official review through the planning commissions, and then to the board of supervisors to
Okay,
authorize advertisement, and then it would get advertised.
I mean, if everybody's okay with it, I thought it was very helpful. Remember the guy was on video?
yeah,
Because, I had questions I didn't understand. I'm a little clearer now, but I don't know. What do you think of getting just for another clarification?
What do we need another clarification? I mean, again,
Yeah.
we've gotten to a point where all we need is to know where the cell towers and non-cell towers are going to be in two townships. So that's it.
All right.
Then I think we're okay. Unless when folks read through the ordinance again, they have additional questions or concerns. So when it goes back to the planning commissions tonight.
Yeah, like I was trying to find out if there was not a telephone pole where you could put the small unit, what happened then? I mean, I'll read through it and get more clarification. My understanding was they would have to put up these poles that aren't huge, right? They're a little
Correct.
bit-
Public rights of way,
yes.
Yes.
the FCC has already ruled that we don't have jurisdiction.
Right. I just want to know when my neighbors see a pole go up, like there's no, on my street, there's no, all the lines are below ground, there's no telephone poles. So I was trying to find it from them,
That would
but
be
the
very
street next door has it, would the signal go over, or are they gonna have to put these poles up on my street? I
That's
just,
a good question.
yeah, I don't think, I didn't look like the guy really answered my question like a year and a half ago, but all right, I'll read through it. I just want to be prepared. There's gonna be people who are ballistic. There's no.
The style of the pole had to be reviewed by the board of supervisors so that you wouldn't be getting anything gaudy or inappropriate for the area.
Yeah, and that's all in the ordinance.
Right.
I believe, but all right, well, why don't we read through it? See what happens.
Everybody take a look at it again, just to make sure they're comfortable where we are with it. I would keep a copy, something to read at night. That in a cocktail.
All
right, do we have a motion to approve the treasurer's report? Second. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, I've already mentioned about the codifications of progress, and we'll talk about that. Any new business? Privilege of the floor, anybody have anything? So we'll be back to our normal schedule next month, the first Thursday, at 7 o'clock.
Proud of everyone for being here at 7 o'clock.
What's that?
What's that, Washington Crossing Bridge, anything new?
No, there's nothing new with the Washington Crossing Bridge. The Bridge Commission is still preparing their study. It takes years. The only word of advice that we say every chance we can is if you're concerned, go to the monthly Bridge Commission.
Do you know what everything that's out there these days?
Don't you think? Been
Kids.
doing it as a community, and it's certainly has been
I read the
well aware of
patch today.
There's a website now, Washington Crossing Bridge.org or .com. I think it's .org, either .org or .com. So, I mean, they probably realize that they do put updates on there.
Has no content.
Yeah, it's very little content, but they've clearly hired a marketing consultant to try and make the project more palatable. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It looks like they're-
Besides the email, you have any marketing, so.
They got a logo.
They've got a logo, very special blue star,
Cheap.
symbolizes George Washington.
So I get, okay, so I guess we are now adjourned, is that correct?
I'll make the motion.
All right, definitely. Second, we have a second. All in favor? Yeah, good.
That-
That like this.
Yes.